schedule. I mean, that's important.
Good family friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please?
This is like Laura's little sister. So one person who did not get to introduce herself earlier is my sister. So let my sister introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Diane Baranek. I am Dave's younger sister and only sister. Came over today from, and this is Ron. We came over today from Dallas to share in this experience, and I'm happy to be here.
Very nice. Okay, so the next scheduled event is my brother Steve is going to read the obituary. The reason we're reading the obituary is that I tried to make it represent Laura's life and maybe, give people some ideas or something like that. And then the other thing is, after that, then we will have the personal stories. So, Stephen, please.
Hi, everybody. Laura Baranek passed away on October 16, 2023, after several years of health issues. She was only 62 years old, but she filled those years with adventures and happiness, living on her terms. Laura was able to spend her final days at her condo in Satellite Beach, Florida, with her loving husband, Dave, my brother. Laura was born in Palo Alto, California, November 17, 1960. She grew up in nearby Los Altos Hills, enjoying her youth. She was a Girl Scout. She had her own horse. She created and sold terrariums. She coached a girls' soccer team and had many other activities. Her childhood helped her develop an appetite for adventure and travel, as well as a sense of responsibility and determination, attributes that stayed with her throughout her life. In addition, she was intelligent, creative, and had a sweet sense of humor. Laura graduated from Los Altos High School, then completed her bachelor's degree at San Diego State in 1983. While in San Diego, she met her future husband, our brother Dave, who was an F-14 radar intercept officer. They married in La Jolla in 1985, and Laura thrived in the Navy fighter squadron life. She worked for a health maintenance organization. Those used to be called HMOs for a few years. But then she began a career for which she was perfectly suited, real estate agent. Working with buyers and sellers, Laura was empathetic, a great negotiator, good with details, and cool under pressure. She quickly became a successful agent and enjoyed recalling the time she kept a deal on track by discovering an error or resolving the unexpected at the settlement table. When the Navy moved Dave to the Pentagon in 1990, the couple moved to Northern Virginia, where Laura again became a successful real estate agent. When the Navy wanted to move Dave in 1993, it was Laura's idea to go to Japan. There she enjoyed living in the town of Nomi, making many friends and traveling all over Asia. After 2.5 years, the couple moved back to Virginia and lived in Virginia Beach for several years, then to Northern Virginia. In both locations, she enjoyed success as a real estate agent. In 2018, Dave and Laura retired and moved to Satellite Beach. Laura remarked how happy she was with the decision. Laura is preceded in death by her father. She is survived by her mother, a sister, and 2 brothers, as well as her husband, our brother Dave. Laura's ashes were scattered in the Atlantic Ocean.
Very nice. Okay, I'm going to tell one story. You VF24 guys heard this last night, but I'm going to tell one story, and then I'm going to read a story that somebody emailed me. Okay, so when we lived in Northern Virginia for several months, Laura was still back in San Diego doing real estate because she was making a lot of money and having fun. And so when she was back there, I would go to a bar called the Brickskeller in downtown Washington, and because couldn't get in too much trouble there, and I went there like almost every Friday and Saturday night. So I took Laura there a few times when she would come over to Washington to visit. So, I'd say, hey, here's where I've been hanging out, and we'd go to the Brickskeller. So then she moved over to DC, and we were busy, setting up our house, going to local restaurants and stuff. And after about 6 months, and at this time I had my yellow Corvette convertible, and I often parked it right in front of the Brickskeller. I mean, just good luck. I would pull up and there would be a spot. So anyway, after Laura moved over, after about 6 months, we said, let's go back to the Brickskeller again. So we walked in there on a busy Saturday night, and you walk in the front door, you walk downstairs, and there's a lower bar, and there at the bottom of the stairs is the bouncer. He's a big guy. At this time, I was 32. Laura was, I think she was 19 or whatever. Okay, so Laura was kind of, not really, but anyway. And so we walked down the stairs, and Laura's halfway down the stairs, and the bouncer looks up and goes, Laura! And I was floored. And I'm going like, well, I'm the guy who's been coming here twice a week for for 6 months. I go, what about me? And the bouncer looks at me and goes, oh yeah, you're the guy with that Corvette. But, okay, the way he said that, I go, I guess she made a big impression on him when she was there. Okay, so here's some notes from our friend Julie. Okay, so the first person, start thinking of your story, because as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to hand the mic over to whoever. Julie said, Laura was a wonderful friend, the type of person you could rely on to give you an honest answer, regardless of if it was what you wanted to hear or not. She was a terrific friend and a much-needed straight shooter. She was also a brilliant realtor. She helped me buy my first house and later sell my first house. I trusted her fully and completely, knowing I was in good hands with a no-nonsense negotiator. I loved coming back to DC and visiting Dave and Laura. I always loved drinking some wine and relaxing, and of course seeing the picture of Laura and Tom Cruise, taken by Russ Novak. It made me smile every time. I feel so fortunate to have had Laura in my life and be able to call her my friend for so many years. So thank you, Julie, for sending that. Okay, who wants to start? Anybody got a story? Okay, Sherry.
I hope I get this right. As most of the people that are here that are Navy associated with it, the women, we like to go and travel and meet the guys in the different ports. So we were headed to Australia, to Hobart, aka Tasmania, and we were there 3 days before the guys showed up. So we decided we needed to entertain ourselves. So we all got together and we made up our mind where we were going to go several different places. And one of them ended up a little ways out of town, and it was a recreation of the old towns that used to be in Tasmania area, in Hobart. So we would walk that, there were, I think, about 8 of us, and we were walking down the streets, and the different guys in the different houses would all come out, or women, and come out and talk to you and invite you in and show them what you're doing in the house and everything. And we did all of that, and the guys started following all of us and saying really nice things, and we were laughing and crying and at them and stuff, and they were talking. I was the senior wife at the time, and what happened is they were putting people in jail. So the girls go off to the side, and they've decided they're going to have me put in jail. So they the guys come and pick me up, carry me off in handcuffs to jail. So they finally let me out. And I said, well, what else are we gonna do? And they said, the guy said, we can go down here and you can see kangaroos and some other animals, but you gotta take a ride down there on a wagon like that. So we went down there, we saw the kangaroos and everything, and we were ready to come back. And on the way back, we couldn't find a ride back. We didn't want to walk because it was a long way. Finally, a wagon comes by and there's a young man at the reins with the horses, and Laura says, hey, give us a ride back to town. And so he said, sure, and he climbed on, and there were 4 of us, I think. Laura was sitting in the front with the young man who had the reins to the horse. And we get into town, and the other girls we had left behind, were yelling, where in the heck have you guys been? And Laura turns around and she puts her arm up on the side of the young man who has the reins to the horses, and she said, we were lost down at the animal area, and I just want to tell you that a hard Aussie is hard to find. And we all, it's good to find. So, I know I did that wrong. And we all died laughing. Everybody was just bent over, just dying laughing at what she had said. And her face turned as red as a cherry. And it was so funny. Thank you.
Well, that's hard to follow. Laura put up with a lot of crap with in the squadron as a squadron wife. I can remember eating jalapenos out of a jar at their house on more than one occasion. But what I remember most about Laura is, like I said earlier, she could cut to the quick immediately without hurting your feelings, but put you back where you needed to be if you're out telling a tale or making up some sort of story, which occasionally happens when violence gets involved. Yeah, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. But later on, probably the last 10 years or so, I got to know Laura better because I would call Dave on occasion. You know, we were doing some things, trying to do some things together, and we just check in every once in a while, and we talked about the books and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes Laura would answer the phone, and we would talk, usually about recipes. I'd cook on occasion, and so we'd compare recipes and things of that nature. And at the end, she said, you want to talk to Dave? No, I'm good. I'll call him later on. But it was just nice to talk to Laura. She had just a way about her to say just like, she's your friend, and she's a lot of fun, and she cooks a lot of stuff. I understand it's good. She sent me peanut brittle is what I last got from her, which was fantastic.
She's a good cook.
That's nice.
Thank you. Eileen, you or Renee?
Hello. So Laura, Renee, and I were roommates, college roommates, and spending those formative times with each other, with all of the push and pull that can go on. But we were always amazed at how readily we got along so well. We learned, we found out about each other by a request for roommate card posted up at the university with our names, our phone number, our address for anybody to come and see us. So Renee picked up hers that way, and Laura picked up hers that way. So we sit at the table, we get to know each other, and I come to find that Laura had been on my street in Palo Alto when she was in middle school, and she knew my neighbor. So here she was at that time in Los Altos Hills, which which is right next door, basically. So we came to find we had some common background, but yet then some differences. So when we were in school and we were taking different part-time jobs, Laura took a job in a jewelry store. So as you can all imagine, that suits her perfectly. And so I was watching her do her nails, and I was fascinated. She was explaining how she was putting a silk wrap on her nails with the polish. I had never heard of this. I had never seen it. And I just watched her get herself ready. She holds up her hand. She goes, I'm going to sell a lot of rings today. And for my birthday, she and Renee brought home these tiny little earrings that I'm wearing today. And they're small because I don't go for a lot of bling. So she said, this is not my style, but it's yours. And so I've had them all this time. And it's just something like that that makes us remember all the special times. Thank you. I know you don't want to come up, but I'll do it. Yeah. Okay.
So I have about 5 or 6 stories to tell. I'm going to tell those in small doses as we go, so as not to self-incriminate. Me, Dave, Laura, or my husband. So shortly after Dave and Laura moved to Northern Virginia, maybe it was 1991 or so, my husband and I, Dave and Laura, my sister and her husband, and my brother went to a hotel in Arlington for New Year's Eve. They had a live band. It was great, open bar. We all stayed there in the hotel. And Laura and my sister, Keely, who are very similar in terms of adventurousness, decided they should steal a huge balloon arch that was going over top of the band. And they did. They got, and Laura, and I remember I was saying, don't do this. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I have a security clearance. I'm staying far away from that. How are you going to do this? And Laura said, you just act like you know what you're doing. You just act like you know what you're doing. So they stole this balloon during a break, a balloon arch, stuffed it in an elevator, and took it up to the 7th floor where we put it in our room. And we have a picture of all of us in front of that balloon arch there. So Laura, she would do anything. She was up for any kind of joke, as long as anybody didn't get hurt. She found a way to pull things off, and she was not intimidated by anything. I love her dearly. Next story coming soon.
Okay, while the next person composes himself, there are brownies and cookies in the back. So send someone from your table. Send someone from your table to get a plate full. Because as part of my responsibility of the host, I did a quality check on the cookies, and they are very good. Does anyone have a story, please? Next story is welcome. Next story is welcome. Renee.
Laura would tell me, you can do this.
Oh, wait a minute. Say that again.
Laura would tell me, you can do this, but not this. Hello, everyone. I'm Renee, and Eileen and I were college roommates with her. We met when we were very young, very silly, liked to have a lot of fun, and we went to the beach, we went to the bars, because we were all 21, more or less.
Details.
And I was with Laura the night
she met her man of substance, because I knew a lot of the other ones before. And I reserved that title for Dave. And I knew that they had something special, because she was very different with Dave than the others. And it was a really good time, and then I was also in their wedding, and then we kind of lost track of each other as she moved around, and I had kids and whatnot, but we always stayed in touch. We always had great times. We always, I think somebody else mentioned, you just picked up right where you left off. There was never any awkward this or that. It was just real. And I last visited them August. And the last thing, when I got home, I told her that I missed her. And she said, yeah, I kind of like having you around too. So that was her humor. It was real, genuine, and honest, and just beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, Janie.
I'm gonna go 6 short ones, but I'm gonna go 1 short.
It's important to note that there's no limit.
Okay.
Just keep it funny. So the bar is up here now.
What would Laura say?
Laura would say, Dave, sit down. Janie was my boss for my first job when I retired from the Navy, and I was extremely fortunate to have that experience.
And I was extremely fortunate. So the theme of this one is weddings. So the first little vignette is about Laura. Laura was the director of my wedding. I got married at 6 o'clock or something. Dave was a groomsman. Before we got married, all the girls went to the pool and drank margaritas, and all the boys went fishing on a boat somewhere and drank who knows what. So Laura is directing this wedding, and everybody, before it starts, is way overserved. Overserved. So Laura, she put a hat on, there's a picture on the picture board. She put a hat on her head, and she got a director stick, she called it. It's like an orchestra conductor stick. They had a ribbon on the end of it, because people couldn't find her to get their directions. So she wanted to make sure, look for the lady with the hat, she kept saying. Look for the lady with the hat and the stick. The stick, the orchestration stick. So she got everybody down that aisle and back. Yeah, everybody didn't last the reception by any stretch. but everybody got down the aisle and back in one piece because Laura was a director. In addition, Sue and Bill Bramer, Laura helped orchestrate their wedding. We all worked together in the Navy and at work also. And Laura, because she had this experience at my wedding, she insisted, nobody can get drunk before the wedding. So she was the person making sure the bar was closed until it was time to be open. She also did Bill and Sue's wedding, beautiful wedding in their backyard.
Very nice. Great time.
$2 next.
That's a threat.
I still remember. I know exactly what she's talking about. Just like everyone here. I mean, okay. Anyway, does anyone else have any stories they would like to share, Corey? Remember, these are about Laura.
So it's so nice to have heard everybody's names, because I know stories about a lot of you. Most of it. Laura, as you all know, had a tiny little competitive streak. And the very first year I lived in DC, we had a party for Easter, and we called it the Urban Easter Egg Hunt. And it was on the rooftop of my apartment building. And of course, Dave and Laura were there. And the first thing that happened, we were talking, and everybody had food. And she said, "Did you hide everything already?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, then we need to go because those chocolate bunnies are melting. So I was like, good thought. And within 5 minutes, Laura had come back with all, like, 15 half-melted chocolate bunnies. And she was not sharing. So she's got the bunnies. So then we say, okay, the eggs are out there, everybody go. And so Dave and Laura, everybody's kind of coupled out. And I see Laura streak by, and Dave's like. So then I hear Laura say, hold this. She had filled her basket, was filling Dave's basket, and sometimes would walk by other people's and take another egg and fill her basket again. She was a little sneaky and very funny, but somehow, not sure how, Dave and Laura won with almost all the eggs. And everybody else was like, well, I'm sure I had like 10 eggs in here, and now I only have 3, and I'm not sure why, because Laura would charm them out of their eggs. So
I remember that very well.
she also would put Dave in danger by saying, there's one right over the edge, can you just barely reach that for me? And being a good husband, of course, he would help Laura out. I'm pretty sure that she would just eagle-eye them and point, and Dave would go running. Yeah. And it was really amazing to see Laura in her element and stealing chocolate and eggs and having a good time and laughing. And we had so many fun holidays together, Valentine's, New Year's, Easter. We did a lot together while we were all in DC, and it was usually around food. And usually around great times. Laura and I had our first pork belly together. I'm not sure if she loved it as much as I did. Did she?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we enjoyed our first bite of pork belly together. And I'll just never forget how happy she was when we were having fun, when we were at parties, when she was hosting or being hosted. She was always great. Always stealing eggs and chocolate. And just, she will be very dearly missed.
Pork belly became one of her menu regulars, so yes, you did that.
Sorry.
Annie?
So I knew Laura through Dave. Dave worked for me in the Pentagon, and I was retired from the Army. Dave was retired from the Navy by then. So my biggest impression of Laura was not just her grace and her poise and how driven she was, but she embraced everything that Dave did. And she came to, I think I met her in happy hour, surprise. But she came in, and I'll tell you, being in the Army and then being an OSD civilian, I've had a lot of men working for me. No one's wife has ever embraced me the way Laura did. She just said, okay, you're part of our family, you're coming to our parties, I'll introduce you to everybody. Dave's birthday party, I think, was mostly family. I know the crazy cousins from Delaware or Ocean City. Yep. Yeah, so I just want to say, I think Laura had enough of her sense of self. She didn't need anything else. And she just embraced every aspect of life and enjoyed life.
Thanks, Amy. That's a good point, yes. Laura had a lot of confidence. She had a strong sense. Any other stories? And when we start to slow down on stories, what we'll do is we'll just start to plan the champagne toast and everything. So don't worry. And then we've got the room until 4. So there's snacks back there. There's open bar.
That was me. Popping the champagne.
Oh, popping the champagne was my brother Steve. Thanks, Steve. That's a sound. Okay, any other stories? Because if not, we'll take a couple of minutes and charge the champagne glasses. For the people on Facebook, stay with us, and we will set up for the champagne and the final toast. Last call, any other stories? Hooter, go ahead. John. to the rest of us, Hooter to the fire department.
Real quick, I left this out, I didn't mean to. I went skiing in Laura once, I think we went to Big Bend, right? Now, I think one other wife went, and Peso's wife, I think, also went. But she's up there with 10, 12 fairly competitive people on skis. I don't know if she was a good skier or not. I know she was by the end of the day. She was a good skier. But she kept up with everybody. We were playing some weird tag game, and she was just in the mix. And that was Laura. She was in the mix. She was there participating, having a good time, and holding her own. She was not a freaking violet at all. I'm kind of picking that up from everybody. She was just a ball of fire. And when I talk about Dave, it's always a story of Laura and Dave. That's just how it's been ever since I've known him. So I just wanted to add that.
Well, just to fill the time while we're waiting for the champagne to get forward, and please make sure you get the champagne, or I mean, if you don't want it, then you can ask it. When I met Laura, I did not know how to snow ski. Bill, did you want to talk?
I wanted to find out how you met her, but I also want you to explain the Tom Cruise picture and Kenny Loggins.
Okay, so I've got a request from the audience. So one is to explain how did I meet Laura, and another is to explain the Tom Cruise and Kenny Loggins picture. But when I met Laura, just to close out on the skiing thing, I did not know how to snow ski. And as my brothers and my sister would say, I was not a very good water skier, but I could water ski some. I didn't know how to snow ski, but I liked this girl so much, and I go, well, she's a snow skier, and so I want to be a snow skier. So Laura taught me to snow ski. And so I'm, let's see, I was 24 years old, and so if you've ever learned to snow ski as an adult, it's not fun. I remember being face down in the snow and these little 6-year-old kids going by. Anyway, but after a couple of days, of course, this is what Laura liked to do, so suddenly it's like, I want to do this. Okay. And she was a good teacher. She learned as a kid, and she was a great skier. I would follow her, and I'd be like, making my way down the mountain. And here's Laura just like gracefully carving her way down, much faster and smoother than me. And I'm like, oh, okay, awesome. Okay, so we met in a bar in San Diego, and the bar was called Blair's Greenhouse. And I was with one of my friends, Gary Grisey, and we were going to Greasy, and we were just going to different bars each time. And I remember we got there early this night. It was a Thursday night. It was September 9th, 1982. And I remember leaning against the bar just before Tom's birthday. And it was leaning against the bar. We saw these two girls walk in. And this is the way we were, okay? Remember, I was young. And I'm leaning, and I said to Gary, I go, I see mine. So these, we just said that stuff. Sorry. If you didn't know, okay, wait a minute, all the guys in here, that's right, all the guys in here are like, yep, we used to be like that. Okay, so Laura and her friend go sit down, and we're just sitting there watching them, and I'm trying to decide when I should go over. And some guy walks over to their table, and I'm going, oh man, I waited too long, but he asked her friend to dance. So I go like, okay, but this is right. This is my signal. I need to get in there. So I asked her if she wanted to dance. Yeah, that's what we said back then, or that's what I said. Anyway, so I said, do you want to dance? And she was thinking about it. Well, this will give you insight to Laura. No, you asked this, Bill.
Yeah.
So she said, so she was thinking about it, and I go, well, you don't have to if you don't want to. That was my comeback when she hesitated when I asked her to dance. And she said, guys didn't usually say that. And so when I said that, she goes, okay. So then we, went out and danced a little bit, and then we go back and sit down, and I had to take my friend home because he didn't meet anybody. So I told Laura, I go, okay, I'm going to take my buddy home, and I'll be back in a little while. So as she told me later, she goes, guys always say that. So I took my buddy home, and I came back, and she was dancing with some other guy. And I'm going like, I told you I'd be back, and she goes, well, anyway. So they sit down, he comes back to the table. So I go, well, hey, I'm thinking, this is my girl. So I went and sat right down like I belonged, and so I just kind of intimidated, believe it or not. I mean, I used to be skinny, Anyway, I intimidated this guy to just buzz off.
I represent. Wow.
I represent that to this day. Yes.
I just want to let you know that the girls at the Old Ocean Beach Cafe missed you.
Oh, the Old Ocean Beach Cafe where we used to go in San Diego. So anyway, that's where we met. We met in a bar in San Diego. And then that was a Thursday night. I said, do you want to go out tomorrow night? And she goes, well, I've got something else to do. So I'm going, okay, of course. So I go, how about Saturday? So we went out again Saturday. She was, she had an active social life. Renee, somebody did that. Renee or Eileen talked about Laura partying and stuff like that. And when I met Laura when she was a senior at San Diego State. And so I had to learn her schedule. And she, as I recall, she went to class Tuesday and Thursday from 8 a.m. to like 8 p.m.
And then she was done.
Yeah. So she went 2 days a week, all day. And that way it gave her Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to go to the beach.
Yeah.
But the other thing she told me was and I knew this, she always went to her 8 o'clock classes. And she said she would show up and the classes would be half empty, And Laura, this was just, and when I met her, you're judging her and stuff, and I'm going, this girl is serious. And her grades in college were much better than mine were. And so, it's
That's
like,
easy, though.
So anyway, my brother said that's easy to have better grades than me. And he's right. But she was, that was a good aspect of her personality. Okay, so the Tom Cruise picture was when we were filming the movie Top Gun. We got married a couple of months before the Top Gun movie was filming at Miramar. And some of the guys around here were involved in that or whatever, so watching it. So we went to a cast and crew party, and there's Tom Cruise. And Laura said, I want to take a picture with him. And I didn't even have my camera. Russ took that picture. and I put his name down there as a mark of respect and appreciation.
Lawsuit. Backing off on that a little.
Russ said the lawsuits. He's backing off on the lawsuits for using it. Yes, Mom, did you? Okay, sir. Anyway, so that's the Tom Cruise picture. And then the Kenny Loggins picture was at Dan Schul's Change of Command about a year later. Kenny Loggins showed up for the Change of Command because he was taking pictures at VF-24. Do you guys remember what the situation was when Kenny Loggins spent the day at VF-24 taking pictures? Okay, well he was, so he went to 24, our old squadron, And he took some pictures, and then in the afternoon he came to Top Gun for the change of command ceremony. And so that was a picture of, I took a picture of Laura standing next to him, and that's the picture I used on the program today, because Laura always liked that picture. She looked at it and she'd always go, "Look at my hair." So I figured, okay, that's a good picture. Okay, does everyone have champagne in their glasses or whatever they want?
Thank you.
I've got mine. Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm gonna come back there. I'm gonna come over there. Thank you so much, sir. When we moved down here 5 years ago, that is an adventure that Laura and I enjoyed together. And we moved. Everybody in here has moved. We happened to select a condominium that was just a bunch of great friends. Is everything okay over there?
Yeah, sorry. Threshold problem.
That turned out to be just a wonderful community and great friends. And our neighbors, one of Laura's best friends for the past few years is Debbie Mackin. And so Debbie and her husband Dan, I figured, would be able to create a toast to Laura. So should I build this up more and try to make you more nervous? Or?
No,
Okay.
it's real short.
Okay, so I asked Debbie to give a final toast to Laura. So Debbie, please.
Everybody has their glass.
Oh, you need to have. Please come up here so you can be on the
Video.
live stream.
Get your witness protection.
Okay, everybody has their glass, and here's to Laura. When I think of Laura, I think of how she was always kind, gracious, witty. She had a wild sense of humor. And I'd crack up laughing every now and again. She'd send texts to me, and then I'd share them with my husband, Dan. It's like, oh my gosh, can you believe this? But they were just funny. And then also, I think from looking around the room here and seeing everybody, it's a wonderful tribute to her and how she's touched everybody's life who is in here. Thank you, Laura. Here's to Laura. A life well lived. To Laura.
Okay. To everyone here, this has exceeded my expectations. Thank you. We can stay here until around 4 o'clock. So please enjoy the bar, the room, the dessert, whatever food is back there. Thank you once again, and let's keep Laura in our memory.